Alright, so we got 3 creators that showed us Road to Glory, Dynasty mode, gameplay, etc. And as usual, I'm here to give you the top 3 takeaways I got from it, so let's get it. Alright, so what's going on, man? And I'm not gonna lie to you, yesterday was really dope to be able to see some good creators drop some really cool gems for us. This is what we needed. This is what I needed as I try to, maintain my excitement before this game drops, as we currently now have 4 more days until College Football 26 drops. But I want to give you 3 key takeaways that I gotten from those videos. But if you haven't already joined my Discord, please join my Discord. I have a Dynasty Leagues that's going on right now. And if you're interested in being a part of that, just go into the Discord and say I'm interested, fill out the application, and then we will get you signed up. It's going to be really fun, nothing toxic. Again, very basic stuff, Heisman level. We have play cooldowns, we have punt rules, basically more in line with sim football. So if you're interested in that, check the link in the description, and I probably will just go ahead and pin a comment with the link also, okay? But anyway, let's hop right into it. And let's start with the number 1 takeaway. Again, this is not in any order. These are just 3 takeaways. And that is going to be the coaching abilities and how expensive and critical they are going to be, okay? So we was watching one of the creators, and what he basically did was he decided to go with Tactician, which cost 20 points. But then when he did that, Recruiter and all the other abilities went up to 30 points to get, just to open it. So basically what that means is, just like it said when we were looking at deep dive, once you start going down one rabbit hole or start going down to pursue one ability, you need to basically go that route. If you do not go that route and try to sprinkle here, sprinkle there, you're going to be wasting a lot of ability points. Because again, I'm pretty sure if it just costs, because we didn't see it, but I'm pretty sure if it's 30 just to acquire Recruiter, I'm pretty sure all the other points within there are going to continue to be more expensive pound for pound than the actual Tactician that he picked initially start off with. So you want to keep that in mind. But here's the catch. Again, we know it's 50 hours to be able to fully recruit a player. And we know that a lot of you are going to want to be a recruiter. But at the end of the day, your assistant coaches are going to play the most critical part in all of this. Okay, so by watching the simulations, it was 100%, I guess you can say, confirmed that assistant coaches are absolutely going to play a massive part in this. Okay, so what you can do is say, hey, you know what? Which most coaches do. They want to have their assistant coaches to be ones out there doing the recruiting, okay? So you could go that route and say, you know what? I want to have my coaches be the recruiting, do the recruiting aspect, and then I would do the motivator, tactician, or whatever else you wanted to utilize. Or, I'm just giving examples. I'm still trying to figure out what direction I want to go, but that is the combination you need to do. You need to pick your route, and then your assistant coaches need to pick the other route. No more of that stacking of everybody on you and your assistant coaches are both motivated and recruiter. That's not going to work, because it basically leads to you're going to have the most unbelievable roster turnover in the history of roster turnovers. And there's so many other abilities within the coaching tree that has been revamped. So you want to keep that in mind. But another key point that I want to point out is for all my guys and gals that love to use their recruiting ability to be able to recruit faster. Well, guess what? You now need to be a elite recruiter. And within that elite recruiter, it is now a tier 4 to be able to have the less amount of less time to be able to fully scout somebody. So you're talking about you'll have to have 2 top 5 recruiting classes. And if you're in a user dynasty, that's going to be difficult. So you have to go 2 top 5 recruiting classes. And then you have to purchase all tier 1, 2, 3, and then 4, which is 12 points apiece, to be able to become an elite recruiter and get all that. Now, again, if that's the route you want to go to, okay, that's cool. But understand that it's no longer the just being a recruiter and it's the, tier 1 recruiter to be able to get that. You need to be an elite recruiter, and it needs to be a tier 4 to be able to get that ability. And we know a lot of y'all like to do that. But again, I just want to stress that is not necessarily the route you want to go, because it's going to lead into my next one. And this is critical. It is roster retention. Okay. Now, what really made my eyes open watching the videos was that year in and year out, you're losing about 40 players. Even if you set your limit to transfer players to just 20 or 30 or whatever it is, that does not take in consideration the seniors that are graduating. So you're not only losing players to the transfer portal, but you're also losing players that are graduating. So basically, you can expect somewhere between 40 to 60% of your roster year in and year out, no matter what you do, leaving. Now, we know about the abilities that you can get to be able to retain your players. And if that's the route you want to go to really retain your players, kind of be like what Clemson does, then obviously going the elite recruiter route is not going to work, right? You need to go another route if you want to retain your players. Players with their dynamic deal breakers are absolutely insanity. Okay, so I just want you to understand that. These deal breakers are literally changing from week to week. They have a pro potential as their ability, as a deal breaker that is necessarily, I say it was a C-, and then a couple weeks later, as they upgrade themselves, then it becomes a C+, and then by the end of the year, at first you were right there in range because you had the B-, but then by the time the end of the season comes, now you have to have an A+, right? Now remember, the dynamic deal breakers move based upon the year of the player and then also their overall. So roster retention, in my opinion, is going to be the most critical thing you can do in your user dynasty. If you are not able to do that, you're going to get auto-filled with 50 and 60 overall players because you're continuously losing 40, 50 players a season, and then you're not recruiting well, and then you're not getting good players in the transfer portal. So then they're auto-filling these, bottom tier players, which are basically walk-ons, and it puts yourself at a massive disadvantage. So you want to make sure you're able to keep these players, and that is going to be predicated on if you're using the coaching ability, which I can't think off the top of my head, that is going to allow you to retain players, and that is not elite recruiter. So you want to make sure you thoroughly think out what you want to be and how do you want to do your teams. There's two different routes. You can either recruit players, right? And understand you're recruiting them. You're recruiting a lot of great players, but understand they're leaving. Or you can be, hey, I'm not recruiting. I'm just going to go straight into the transfer portal and be a great transfer portal king. And then obviously understand that those players can also be at the end of the year will be leaving. There's going to be a high turnover rate no matter which way you go, but you can't sit there and have your cake and eat it too. You're not going to be able to do that unless you allow, again, like I said in the beginning, your assistant coaches to hold down one of those aspects for you, okay? And then now let's talk about the last piece of it, which I think is going to be extremely groundbreaking, extremely dope, and that is going to be what we talked about with the manual upgrades. We were able to see that, and I'll be honest with you, manually upgrading your players is going to be extremely fun. One thing I would definitely say is that, well, one thing I do like is the fact that it will show you what archetype you need to get to be able to have dropping the cap breakers on them. Because one thing that I think it was Bordeaux was having an issue with was he would have 150 something points to put towards his player, but the cap breakers are already there. So they were just accumulating. It was almost like last year when you hit level 50 as a coach and then you had all these other points accumulating, you wasn't able to get anything else out of it. Well, that's the same thing that happens here. So again, that goes back to, like I said in the beginning of my first video, is that why I think you should be sitting back and just trying to get CEO so you can be able to get those discounts to make your upgrades a lot cheaper. And I know it's hard. It's hard either way. It's hard to reach elite recruiter in a very tough dynasty. We have to get 2 top 5 recruiting classes. You might not be able to do that until like the 5th or 6th year, maybe longer in your dynasty. Again, I mean, it depends how competitive your dynasty leagues are. My dynasty leagues are really competitive, so it's just difficult to be able to do that. But I would point again is that you will see, it will say, it's like, hey, you do not have enough points, or you will have enough points, or you are capped out. But it will tell you, as you can see right here, it says Architect can increase a player's skill caps with the limitless put a ring on in abilities. And it says CEOs can also, CEOs can increase all skill caps, group caps by 1 for rising seniors. So again, if you want to upgrade your players, or you want to have the best players possible, we all know Motivator is going to allow you to do that with the off-season training boost. But then it also looks like you want to have Architect, because Architect is going to, again, allow you to get rid of all these cap breakers. Look at Bryce Underwood, and look that he has 154 points that he can utilize, but he is basically capped out, because the route that Bordeaux went, he went with, I think he went with Tactician and Motivator. So he doesn't have the ability to eliminate these these caps here. Now, so basically that's the route you want to go as a coach. You want to go, and that's the route that I was saying from the first video that I saw. I was like, yo, like, you want to make sure you stick with the Architect. But again, that's just my opinion on it. It depends on how well you want to develop your players. I was saying that, yo, I'd rather get players that I recruit my players through my assistant coaches, and then I use Tactician and Architect to be able to not only develop them, train them, but then also allow them to get their max potential. But again, it's really up to you to do that. But manual upgrades is definitely going to be the wave. If you're using auto, it doesn't really help you out at all, because you're able to truly upgrade your players. But, and this is the most important piece that I want to add to this manual upgrades, you need to be careful about upgrading these individuals, because that goes back to my second thing that I talked about with the dynamic deal breaker. So if you use your manual upgrades and you upgrade this player and he becomes a 65, but then all of a sudden you upgrade him and he comes a 78, his deal breaker now is going to jump from only being a D something to now being a C plus or D minus, whatever that is. And if you don't have that grade, you put him at risk of transferring. So there is some strategy in that, where you can say, you know what, I'm only gonna upgrade him this far, even though I have, 50 more points to use. I'm gonna save that, because if I upgrade him one more time, his deal breaker is gonna allow him to transfer out, and I don't want to do that. This is if you're with a smaller university. Now, if you're with a big university, you should more likely have the championship contender at A+ and conference prestige and all that type stuff. But he was using Ball State, and he had to be very wary of that. And that is another strategy that you need to keep in mind. But in my opinion, those are the top 3 takeaways that I got from Dynasty Mode. Let me know in the comment section, what do you think? What are some of the takeaways you have? But other than that, it's your favorite overhead Uncle Demi. I'll be back really, really soon with the banger, man. You know, when I say back soon with the banger, you know exactly what I'm talking about. I'm talking about tomorrow, man. I'm out.